Hi, and thank you for watching this video brought to you by RetireSafe on digital scams and frauds. My name is Jacob, and I will be presenting this video with my fellow interns, David and Jan. In order to talk about digital scams and digital frauds, I'd first like to read off the definition of what a scam is. According to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, a scam is a fraudulent or deceptive act or operation. If we apply this concept to the online world, a digital scam or fraud is when someone will try to steal or swindle you out of your personal information, whether that be your credit card information, your social security number, or other identifications, or your passwords. In this video, the scams that we will be covering today are phishing, malware, fake charities, fake surveys, lottery scams, and fake debt scams. So what is phishing? Phishing is a tactic that people will use to swindle you out of your information, whether that be your credit card number, your social security number, or your passwords. Phishing is a type of social engineering where a scammer or an imposter will pose as either an official corporation or company or some trustworthy figure. Phishing can take place over phone call, text messaging, or most commonly it'll take place over email. When trying to identify phishing in your email, make sure to be very cautious about what emails you choose to take a look at. Make sure to hover over hyperlinks in emails to make sure that the links are actually what they claim to be. Be cautious of opening up any attachments that could be on an email because they could expose your computer to different types of malware. Also, be very cautious if an official email is asking for your personal information back, because most likely these corporations will already have that information and will not ask you for it. On this slide, we can see how phishing is done in action over email. On the left part of the slide with the Bank of America part, you can see if you hover over the hyperlink, it will not actually lead you to the Bank of America website. Additionally, in the top left part, we can see that this email is not even from someone from Bank of America. And then if we head over to the right part of the slide with the FTC part, we can see similarities. If you hover over the hyperlink, it will not actually lead you to the FTC website. Additionally, the email is not even being sent from the FTC either. So what is malware and where will it be found? Malware is a tool that's in software form that's used by scammers to either gather your personal information or infect your computer. Different kinds of malware includes spyware, keylogging, Trojan horse, and adware. Malware can be found in file attachments from suspicious-looking emails or pop-ups, or they can also be found over text messaging or any other form of messaging. On this screen, we can see different types of malware. On the left, you can see that there is ransomware, which will hold your computer hostage and blackmail you, spyware, which will steal your data, adware, which will bombard your computer with different pop-ups and ads, worms, which will spread across different computers on your network, Trojan horses, which can be snuck into your computer via email or other suspicious activity, and botnets, which will turn your PC into a zombie and hold it hostage. There is also keylogging, which will track the different keystrokes you use to gather your personal information. And on the right, we can see how adware looks in person. You can see on this screen that the website is completely bombarded with different advertisements.
Fake charities are one of the most common and oldest used types of scams. Essentially, scammers will ask you to donate a certain amount of money towards a fake or non-existent cause. This type of scam is typically practiced after a large and devastating natural disaster or catastrophe has occurred. For example, after Hurricane Katrina devastated the southern coast of Louisiana, many of these scams popped up as many people were desperate to send help to those in need. Subsequently, many people fell for these scams. These scams are an easy way to grasp your attention, as the scammer's goal is to appeal to your charitable side and have you be sympathetic towards a specific cause, which is sometimes very hard to turn down for some people, and that's how they get involved and engulfed in the scam. In this type of scam, money is being sent directly to the pockets of the scammers and not to the legitimate cause it is trying to represent. So how do we identify fake charity scams? So first of all, we got to be cautious of who is behind the organization and always try to verify if the donating cause really exists or not. Second of all, always try to donate to legitimate or government verified organizations. The government will usually provide a list of which charities are verified and legitimate to provide this type of aid. So always try to go and check on these lists. And lastly, try to avoid any online or over the phone transactions. Most of these scammers try to get you throughout the phone. Don't try to do this. Try to do, if you're going to donate or anything, try to do it as much in person as possible. Sometimes try to avoid online, and as mentioned before, try to see if the cause is verified by the government. Fake survey scams. In this type of scams, you are being asked to give your personal information in order to participate or be part of a given survey. So one is being invited to participate in a survey of a given cause, a given study. And usually this is quite alarming because this is not common to see. So it is always important to only take surveys that come directly from companies, organizations, or institutions you completely trust. And even though when trusting these companies, always try to avoid trying to give any type of personal information such as your social security number, banking account information, your personal address, etc. If this information is being required for you in a survey, turn away because it's most likely a scam. So here's an example on how to identify a fake survey. Most of these fake survey scams are done online throughout pop-up ads. It's really quite unlikely to get a fake survey throughout the phone in this mobile era. So a good way to identify one is to, when you see a title that sounds too good to be true, for example, earn $1,000 in a day. That's a deal that realistically you won't get on a day-to-day basis. So when you see these type of wording and this type of ads and everything, you already know that this is some sort of a sketchy approach or type of scam. So try to avoid these. And also read credible reviews. If, for example, you're going through a organization that you trust, always go through a review if there are previous you have an idea if this cause is legitimate or not. There are other important topics to avoid, like handing off personal information. A good tip is always try to have an alternate email if something goes wrong. That alternate email does not affect your personal email. So that's a good strategy to try to avoid these scams and avoid to be caught.
Moving on, now we're going to talk about lottery scams. So, what is a lottery scam? A lottery scam, often known as a fake lottery, is an attempt to swindle someone by impersonating a legitimate lottery company or a winning participant. The majority of scams work by convincing the recipient of a phony email, text, letter, or phone call that they have won a big quantity of money in a lottery which would be transferred into their bank account after processing fees or taxes have been paid. If you respond to even one of these interactions, you may be bombarded with unsolicited letters, phone calls, and emails aiming to defraud you. So, how do you avoid lottery scams? Well, the first rule is that no matter how lucrative such emails appear to be, you should never respond to them. Remember that you cannot win a lottery prize unless you have purchased a lottery ticket. In a real lottery, you will never be required to pay a charge before your wins are processed. Do not simply comply with whatever is requested of you if you receive a phone call, a letter, or an email that you believe is genuine and you recollect purchasing a ticket for the game in issue. Okay, now we're going to be talking about fake debt scams. So, what are fake debt scams? Well, in fake debt scams, scammers pose as debt collectors and collection agencies in order to defraud naive victims of their money. Scammers frequently use harsh and threatening tactics to persuade you to reveal bank and other personal information under the false belief that you are paying legitimate bills. Keep an eye out for evidence that the collection call you received isn't from a reputable company. So, how do you avoid a fake debt scam? Well, first and foremost, refrain from conversing with them. Insist on getting documented debt information from the collector. Inquire about the caller's name and the agency for which he or she claims to work if the caller claims to be from police enforcement. Consider recording the call, but if your state requires it, make sure you have the caller's consent first. If you don't record the call, take notes so you can file a complaint. Thank you so much for your time and your attention. We hope you enjoyed and learned a lot from this presentation. These are the sources that we used to prepare and present this presentation. These are the other sources we used for this presentation.